Alright, so in this video we are going to be upgrading a Dell Latitude CPt from 2000. We're going to be upgrading the RAM in it to 512 megabytes, and we're going to be installing a compact flash card in the laptop. So this is a Dell Latitude CPt S600ST. I think it's around from the year 2000. I can't really find a lot of information on it. This is a older 12-inch model, so it's got a lower resolution screen. It's got an Intel Celeron 600 megahertz. But overall, it is a good condition machine. I got this for $30 off Craigslist. It runs perfectly fine. There's no issues with it. It's in good condition, like barely no scratches or scuffs or anything. Its keyboard is in pretty good condition. And yeah, so the first thing we're going to be doing, obviously, is we are going to be upgrading the RAM in the computer to 512 megabytes. I've got some PC100 RAM right here, which is what goes into this one. Currently, it's got 64 megabytes of RAM, but we can do better than that. And the next thing we are going to be doing is upgrading the hard drive to a compact flash card. And you may be wondering, why compact flash? You know, there's SD cards and things like that. Why use compact flash? Well, if you actually do some looking around, you can actually find out that compact flash, the compact flash standard, it's actually kind of similar to what older computers use for hard drives, which is IDE. Now, if you don't know what IDE is, it's basically the old standard that they used to make hard drives. Nowadays, we're using SATA, but it used to be IDE, and compact flash is actually, it's very similar to the IDE standard. Which means that you can use these as replacements for hard drives. And the benefits of using compact flash is, number one, it's solid state, meaning that it doesn't have to be like mechanical. It's also a lot smaller, and it's also a lot quieter. So like, let me get out my hard drive here. What I have right here is an IBM TravelStar drive. It's not the one that came with this one. This laptop actually came with a 10 gigabyte IBM TravelStar drive, but this one is a 3 gig. But this is usually what you would find in an old laptop from around this era, and as you can see, it's a lot bigger, and it also tends to be a lot slower, and it can also fail. I mean, this one says it was manufactured in August of 1999, so I mean today is August 2019, so this one's almost 20 years old now. You know, this thing's probably gonna fail, so get one of these, which has a much lower failure rate. I'm not sure about all the things with flash memory and if it can fail, but I know that this is gonna be a lot more reliable than an old IDE hard drive. So how you do this is you get a this thing, and this is basically a compact flash to IDE adapter. Now, if you look at the pins, as you can see, it's got the IDE pins, and what you do is you take your compact flash card, and what you do is, you see these pins right here. This is where you put your compact flash card in. So basically you just put it in here and you have the pins, and then it converts it to IDE, and then you can just plug it into your IDE slot on your motherboard. And yeah, as you can see, these devices are very simple. It doesn't require any power or anything. You just put it in, and it automatically, I think it actually does require power somewhat, but not a lot, but it converts it very simple using this board to an IDE hard drive, and you can put this in this. And now, one thing I have to say is that if you're going to be doing this and upgrading your computer's hard drive, an old computer's hard drive, to IDE or compact flash, you have to make sure that there's two types of modes that a compact flash card can come in, and this is actually very important. Now, there's two modes. The first mode is removable. And most consumer compact flash cards you will buy will always be set as removable mode from the factory. Well, what removable mode means is that it's made to be like, you know, what's in a camera. You know, compact flash cards, usually you can find them in cameras. And you're going to be usually taking, you know, the card out of the camera, you know, and putting it into your computer and then editing photos on it and then taking it back into the camera and going back and forth. That's usually what removable means. And then there's also fixed mode. And what fixed mode is, it's kind of like how, you know, your main computer's SSD or hard drive operates. megabytes, where it's made to be just sit into the computer's enclosure or whatever and just stay there, and usually it has an operating system on it, a boot sector, and it's your main hard drive. You're not really removing it or plugging it into a different computer. And usually, like I said, most compact flash cards, consumer ones, ship in removable modes. Now, this is fine for like installing DOS, and I believe installing like older DOS-based versions of Windows, like Windows 3.1, 95, 98. But if you're going to be installing like Windows NT, then you need to have it in fixed mode. And most industrial cards, like this card, will identify as fixed, meaning that this computer will like it and it will play with it friendly. It's not a big issue if you have like, if you're, like I said, if you're installing DOS or Windows 3.1 or something, but if you're installing like Windows NT or Windows, I think even Windows ME or something, you're going to want to have a fixed card. Also, the industrial ones tend to be more reliable. They meant to like report back information a lot easier, like cylinders and heads and sectors, all that technical stuff. And yeah, so yeah, I bought this adapter for $5 on eBay. You can actually get it for a little cheaper, like $1 or $2, but the only downside to it is that it's shipped from China, and usually it takes like a whole month to ship them from China, so I just went with a US seller. It was more money, but it did come a lot faster, so that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and start upgrading this thing. So the first thing we're going to be doing is upgrading the RAM. So let me go ahead and flip this thing over. I'll go get a screwdriver, and then we can start replacing the RAM. So we got the computer flipped over here. As you can see, this is the slot for the RAM. And I'm going to go ahead and get a screwdriver, and we are going to start doing the RAM. So go ahead, we just got to open this. You can just use a flat-bladed screwdriver or anything. You don't need to unscrew anything. You just take off this door, and there is the RAM. So let me just see if I can focus on the RAM a little bit better. So as you can see, there are two slots for the RAM. There's this slot and then this slot. There's 64 megabytes of RAM in here, and it's just one stick. So this is a PC100 stick, and we're going to replace this to 512 megabytes. So you have to do these latches. You have to undo these, and then the stick will come up. As you can see, this is, if I can get that to focus, it is 64 megabytes of PC100 RAM. So you can go ahead and set this aside, and then we can take out our RAM here. This is from A-Tech. I got this off of eBay for, I think, about $15. So it's two sticks of 256 megabytes of RAM. And I'm going to unbox it right now. Alright, so we got the RAM out. As you can see, there's two sticks of 256 megabyte sticks of RAM. So first of all, let's put in the first stick. So we go ahead and just do that. I forget. You just push it in, and then you gotta like, hold on. And then just put it in here. Is that it? I think it's in. Hope it's in all the way. Alright, so that's the first stick in. And then the second stick will go in pretty much the same way. I think the slot has never been used, so I think it just goes in. Alright, so we got both sticks placed into the RAM. It took me a little bit to get this one in. I didn't really want to break it. I was being careful with it. But now all we can do is just put this thing back on. So it just goes in here and it just snaps back into place. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, and we're going to see if we can power it up into the BIOS and see if it actually does recognize the new RAM. So we have to press F2 for the BIOS. And let's see if it detects the RAM. We're getting something on the display. So it says the amount of system memory has changed. So let me just zoom into the screen here. It's kind of hard to see with the lighting. Let me go ahead and see if I can make it a little dark in here. I don't know if that's any better. Let me see, let me position it. So it says, basically we have no hard drive in here at the moment, so it does not boot, but let's go ahead and enter to the setup utility. So we press F2, and it detects the first stick. It's detecting the first stick, but it is not detecting the second stick. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go ahead and do this off camera. I'm not gonna film it. I'm gonna go ahead and just open the RAM slot again and see if it's just not in securely. I'm not sure what stick it is. It's not detecting correctly, but let's go ahead and I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. Okay, so what I did is I reseated the RAM in the computer, and this is a little bit of a, I'm not sure if it's a good camera angle, but at least you should be able to see the screen better. So let's go ahead and boot into the BIOS again. So there's the boot screen. I think it is a little bit, the camera is a little bit on a slant. It's not completely centered, but it will do for now. It should give us the same message that it did the other time. Yep, the amount of system memory has changed. That's a good sign. I think the first stick wasn't completely seated in correctly, so it's gonna not detect the hard drive, and then we can just boot into the setup utility, the BIOS. So just keep pressing F2. Yep, there we go. The hard drive not found. And let's go ahead and see. Yep, there we go. 512 megabytes of RAM. And you can see the other specs. As you can see, we got a 600 megahertz Celeron, an ATI M1, we got 8 megabytes of video RAM, and our audio controller is an ESS Mastro 3. We do have a CD-ROM in the modular bay. You can also swap it out for a floppy disk or even a second battery, but I don't have that. I only have the floppy disk drive. So now the RAM upgrade is done. It is done, and now what we're going to be doing is the compact flash upgrade, and then we will go ahead and install Windows 98. Alright, so now we're going to be doing the compact flash card upgrade. So it's very easy to do. To make things a little easier, I have unscrewed the hard drive caddy, and I've got the screws right here. So I've got screws in these plastic bags, so when it is time for reassembly, it's going to be much easier now. So on the edge of this hard drive, you can see the connector, and this is usually where the hard drive goes, and it converts it to some proprietary format that Dell was using. You can see the IDE pins, like there's IDE pins here, and then you plug it into your computer's, the Dell laptop's, hard drive port. It's just a simple converter. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the compact flash card out, and first I'm going to make sure that it actually works in this computer, or in this adapter. So here's the adapter. All we have to do is just slide the card into the thing. Let me go ahead and just, yeah, okay, here it is. We can go ahead and have it in. Let's go ahead and slide it in. As you can see, now it's slid in. It's in the adapter. Now we got to put it into the caddy. So we just line up the pins to right here. So go ahead and just push it in. Okay, you just got to go ahead and just put these in here like that. And then we got to push them in equally, so there's no other, like, in all the way. Alright, so now it is in the adapter, and this thing is like, as you can see, it's kind of like floating up. Like, as you can see, it's like being, you can see, like, you can push it down. It's not in there securely, but it should work for now. So what I'm gonna do now is we're now gonna put this into the hard drive slot, and I'm not gonna screw it in just yet since I'm gonna take it out. You just plug it in, and then you hold up. Let me go ahead and see if I can do that. Go ahead and just hold up. Yep, okay, so it's in there. Go ahead and just push this around. Alright, so it's now in the computer. It's not screwed in all the way, but I'm going to see if it will boot. So let's go ahead and just boot this thing up. And see if it does detect the hard drive. You can't really see the screen really good on this, but taking a little bit to load. You can kind of see it's kind of hanging on the screen for a little bit. Yeah, I've never really seen it really be on the screen for long. I don't know if it's because of the RAM upgrade or because of the hard drive. I would like to think it's because of the hard drive, because I had the RAM in here before and it was working pretty well. It wasn't doing this, so okay, so I pressed F2 for startup. What did that do? Okay, so that gets us into here. Okay, so as you can see, it did detect the hard drive. Let me see if I can get that to focus. As you can see, primary hard drive, 16,023 megabytes. So it is working. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a Windows boot disk for Windows 98, and I'm going to see if we can actually install it. We're going to see if we can install Windows on that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to partition the hard drive on my main computer. Okay, so I got a Windows CD in the drive, so let's go ahead and boot up the computer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run fdisk and see if it will detect it as a fixed drive, because remember, I did talk about that and why that's important. So the CD drive is spinning up. It does sound like it's kind of like, it doesn't sound like a good sound, but that's just how it works. So, alright, so here's the startup menu. Let's go to boot from CD-ROM. And then, okay, so we are at the Windows 98 startup menu now. I had to reboot the computer, but we're gonna select start computer with CD-ROM support. So this loads up all the drivers for the CD-ROM drive, and I feel like it's gonna take a little bit. It usually isn't this slow. Okay, that's okay, it's going. Alright, so we are at the DOS prompt. So let's go to drive C for a moment. Okay, so where is there like a... Alright, so we are at the DOS prompt again. So let's go to the A drive again and let's run fdisk. Alright, so it does detect the drive and it asks us if we want to enable large disk support. So just press Y, enter. Okay. Error reading fixed disk. Okay, so maybe the thing isn't partitioned right or something and it's confusing it. If you run fdisk again, is it just the adapter or something? Error reading fixed disk. So what I'm going to do now is, well, I'm going to go ahead and partition the drive, and I'm going to see if that seems to fix the problem or anything. Okay, so it's a little bit later, and I ended up partitioning the compact flash card using a, basically I just booted into a Linux Live CD and then partitioned it. I'm going to do a more in-depth video about dual booting Windows 98 and Windows ME, like older DOS-based versions of Windows, and also showing you, how to partition the drive and everything. It's a very complicated video, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this back into the thing, and hopefully the fdisk will be a lot more, it will be a lot more friendly, because, I guess maybe the partition is just too big for the, for it to like correctly use it or something. I'm not really sure, but at least I've divided it into, a 7 gigabyte partition, about 7 gigabytes for each operating system. So technically, I think it should work, and maybe the issue also was because I didn't have it like plugged in all the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in now. And actually, I think I only need to screw in this one screw right here, because the other screws over here in this other bag, these 4 screws in this bag are for the hard drive caddy, like not for the hard drive caddy, but they're like for if you were going to install a drive like a this. There's some I guess you could secure the drive in. But I think I'm only going to need to use one screw to actually secure it into place. So it looks like we're having an issue now. So it's not reading the compact flash card. It's having an issue. as you can see, it's not even reading the partitions I created. I'm not entirely sure what is going on here, like if there's something that with the BIOS or something. Like if we run the Windows 98 setup, I think it just will, yeah, it just says that we don't have a partition or something. But I'm gonna have to like do some searching around to try to fix this problem, because like it might be a problem with the adapter, but it is recognized by the BIOS. We managed to get into the BIOS and did detect the compact flash card. I'm gonna have to look around. Maybe it's just an issue with the master boot record or something. I'm just gonna have to just diagnose it. So I'll be back if I find a solution. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I've got a partitioning tool on this floppy disk, and what it is called is it's Boot It Bare Metal. It's basically just a simple partition tool for like an older computers that can't like handle stuff like the Linux Live CD or something. So I did do some experimenting, and I did plug the compact flash to IDE adapter into my computer, but not using the standard compact flash port. I used an IDE to USB adapter, and it did seem to work in my computer. So it's not a problem with the adapter. And in my computer, it actually did show up as a fixed disk using USB. So I feel like it's a problem. Maybe the partitioning wizard isn't right or something. So I'm gonna go ahead and boot from this floppy disk and see if we can get it, maybe see what would happen and see if it will work. I know that this software, I've used it before on this machine, so it should work. So I'm gonna go ahead and boot that up. Okay, so I completely wiped the card, and it is still doing this. It's not able to read it correctly, and I don't know what's going on with this, really. I'm trying everything that I can. I mean, this program, is it the adapter, is it the card? I'm really just gonna have to really just experiment. The adapter is working just fine on my main computer using a IDE to USB adapter. It's working just fine. I was able to format it on that, so I really don't know what's going on, and I'm gonna try some other things, but I am just out of ideas. Like, I have no idea what the problem is. Is it just too big of a drive? If we go back to here, partition work or whatever, it is still doing the same thing. So I really just don't want to be like accepting defeat. I just gonna need to see and try experimenting. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to see how like Windows 2000 or Windows XP would react to this. So as you can see, I still can't access it. It is still doing this, and it can read the capacity, but it just can't access anything else on the drive. You can't edit or format partitions on it. It's just, I don't know. So let's go ahead and just try some other stuff. I'm just gonna try experimenting, and I'm gonna find a solution to this.